Yes, we can. You look like you're ready for a interview, and you have a beautiful painting behind us. Behind
Thank you. Thank you.
you. Yeah, great. Well, thank you for joining us all the way from Canada, all the way from Iraq, which
Oh,
we'll talk about in a moment. Welcome to the Peace Channel. The Peace Channel is um, a part of the work of Common Humanity. And what we try to do is bring different parts of the world together through art. So you're just the kind of interviewee we're just exactly looking for. And there's another very, very special reason why I'm so delighted to have you today. The reason I am such a dedicated worker for peace is because I endured bombing in Baghdad, and I think you were only a few kilometers away from me.
oh
And
my God.
we want to talk about you. We're going to talk about you. Don't worry. But I want to talk about this for 1 minute.
I want to hear.
Yeah, my career has been, my name is Mel Lehman, for those of you just joining us. We see another distinguished artists from Canada, a dear friend of mine, and some other great people. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Mel Lehman. I'm the director of Common Humanity. And behind me, you're seeing paintings from the Middle East. And you're also seeing my Amish Mennonite American quilt. So what I have tried to do is help those two to get together. So you're precisely the kind of guest we want. But another very special reason is I went to Baghdad between 1996, Easter of 1996, working for the National Council of Churches. And my last visit was right after the US invasion. I was there as a humanitarian worker. And my purpose was to end the sanctions, those terrible, terrible economic sanctions. And right after I quit my full-time job with the National Council of Churches, I was all on my own, and I checked into the Al Fanar Hotel along the Baghdad River, or the Tigris River. And might I ask how far, you grew up, how far from the Al Fanar Hotel?
Actually, I was living very close to the Al Fanar, like 10 minutes from Al Fanar, Jadriya, very close.
Well, I'll stop in a moment because we want to hear from you. But on the night of the first week of December, 1998, I was endured 4 nights of bombing by the American jets. What a crazy, crazy idea that was, and what a terrifying experience that was for me. I'm a man of prayer, but I became a man of very intense prayer during those 4 nights. I was huddled in the, this is the reason I'm such a worker for peace, because I have been endured 4 nights of bombing by American troops, all by myself. Fortunately, I think I imagine a Muslim desk clerk and Christians, Iraqi both. They were all kind to me. It was the American bombers who were giving me the trouble. But enough about me. Let's start with you. You were how far from there? Do you remember that week at all? That it was the first week of December, 1998.
I was living. Me and my family were living very close. My kids were 7 and 8 at that night. We took shelter in a small corridor inside our house. We had to explain to the children all the bombing, and we had to have enough food. It was devastating, scary. I was working with the ICI, with the International Committee of the Red Cross at that time, and as you just explained, it brings you so close to what you believe in. It's I wonder how strong and how we hold tight to our lives, how survivors we are. It makes us stronger, but it's a very sad. Unfortunately, it wasn't the only experience I had with the bombing. It came again in 2003. So yes, I was close. I was there, and I just want to take a moment to thank you on behalf of all Iraqi people, the good Iraqi people, for working hard for peace. I mean, a lot of our people don't work as hard as you do.
Uh-huh.
It's
Uh-huh.
a long road, the
Well,
peace.
thank you. Thank you so much for that. It's kind of you to say that. The Iraqi people have been so kind to me at Sadoun Street, Abu Nawas Street, the Palestine Hotel, and the Al Rashid. Well, this is not about me. This is about you. So let's continue. Maybe sometime we can tell my story, but let's talk about your story. So you grew up in Baghdad, and according to my notes, you went to school you trained as an architect at the University of Technology,
Yes.
and you've had then came to Canada, and along the way, you as an artist, we want to see your work soon. But let's start with a screen share here. See if my screen share works. Um, can you see the words Lubna Mousa?
Yes, I
All right.
can.
Okay. Thank goodness. There's always that moment. Is Zoom going to work? You know, I think I finally gotten my Zoom skills. Okay. Lubna Mousa artist. And look at this. Is this precious? Now,
Yes,
that's
this
your family. You
oh,
can see it, right?
big one,
Yeah.
the fact.
Right.
So,
And tell me, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, this picture is in 1965, as it shows. My father, he's a doctor, and he was studying in the UK. So my childhood was there. Went back to Iraq, 1966. I joined the high school. I have my pictures from my high school in
Uh,
Iraq
yeah.
at that time.
And this, which at first, yet one last thing. You're which person in the family picture in the middle?
The chubby, the one with the dress, white spotted dress,
Okay. So
was
here
my.
you are in high school.
Yes, high school. This is an American school found in the 20s by United Church. Uh, there was a few of these schools in Iraq. This is a high school for girls, and there's another one, I believe, in Basra, southern Iraq. Everything was westernized. So I grew up not as a rich family, more like an intellectual. My father was a doctor, he studied abroad. So this is what we knew. We might be a few, but this is the school. This was the sports day. And yeah, we loved our school, our community. Of course, by the time I got to the school, it wasn't American anymore, but we still had that feel. So yes, this is, and the picture after for the high school, this is in northern Iraq. The last year of our high school, they take us trips. So this is in northern Iraq. There was no north, south, and Baghdad central. So this is me and my friends in northern Iraq, somewhere near Mosul.
And Mosul, for those of us in our audience who are happen to be students of the Bible,
Mhm.
Mosul was the site of the ancient city of Nineveh. Is that not correct?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And the prophet Jonah was buried in Nineveh, in Mosul,
Yes.
as I recall.
Mhm.
And I visited there and honored by Muslims and Christians alike. Before we get to the art, anything that you miss most about Iraq when you're seeing these pictures? How does this make you feel looking at these old pictures?
It makes me sad. I was lucky to be in a good time in Iraq, and it makes me sad. All these real memories, all those good people back in Iraq. Um, these are the real people. There is, I don't think there is these cities. Most most churches or they were all demolished, unfortunately. So it makes me very sad, devastated.
Ah, heartbreaking, heartbreaking.
Yes.
Well, I feel the same way, absolutely. Um, let's take a look at some of your art. Um,
Mm.
You have mentioned in an artist statement that you collect things, that you have collages, which are beautiful recycling of things, and you care about the environment. And one way is to say, don't throw this out. Let's make some art out of this. Is that, did I read your statement correctly?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So this these two are a series of four pieces. 2003, I was already working with the United Nations. So with the bombing of the UNOCHI, of the Central United Nations offices happened, and I was working with Abu Nu'as with the UNDP. So our offices were bombed. I went back to the site a few days later. I grabbed materials. So all you see here is the real materials from the war.
Oh my
The
goodness, I didn't realize this. These are materials, let's say that again. These are materials that you grabbed from the
Yes,
United Nations office on a canal. Was it the Canal Hotel, as I recall?
Canal Hotel and the UNDP
Right.
building on Abu Nu'as. So like this big piece, black, this was my door.
Oh, wow.
My door. This the black circle is the diskette we used to use at that time. So the black
We call a floppy disk today in a computer.
was burned.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so these four pieces I made. So we will, and this is in Arabic. It's called after war because these bombings started after the invasion, after the war. And here there's a child. This is my friend's kid, baby.
Wait,
My,
am I in the right frame here, or are we,
the one of them.
am I in the right frame now? This one here?
Now this is the now. Can you go down? Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So these four, I put them in frames. They were sent to UNESCO headquarters in Paris and to exhibitions. And now there are one-to-one sizes of them, the photos of them at the UNESCO Iraq office.
Wow. I saw these in preparation for this, and I'm so touched that this is the reality. And wow.
I have them with me wherever I go. It's for my children. Some things we should never forget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. Beautiful paintings here. Tell us a little bit about these.
So these are, I studied architecture. So I was, and what I do is I like to reflect and I try to send my message in a positive way. So this is Yemen. The Yemeni architecture is so beautiful, and it's one of the very few architectures of houses in the world that remains as is. While Yemen now is one of the biggest, they have the catastrophe, the biggest humanitarian problems. So here is Yemen. The Yemeni house, it goes vertical. Some people might not know.
Yes, I've seen those wonderful pictures, like ancient skyscrapers.
Yes, exactly. Like the ground floor, it has the stables and the storage. The upper is the kitchen. The upper is the living room. The upper and the end is the hot room for men with the big windows.
Wow. Wow.
So these are Yemen.
Next picture.
Yes, this is,
Ah, classical and
yeah,
modern.
this is Syria. Unfortunately, Syria with what happened.
Wow. Yes, so much suffering and devastation in in your part of the world.
Yeah.
Say a little more, if you would. The picture on the left, someone riding a bicycle, the modern era and the ancient era, or how would
Yes.
you say?
This is, yeah, on the left is people fleeing. Those are the refugees leaving their villages uh, just for shelter.
Mm,
So just regular people. and they're fleeing with their children, their bicycles,
Wow.
for peace,
Yeah. Yeah.
for shelter.
And
And these,
Syria,
sorry.
as we know, such an important part of world civilization.
Yeah.
Many great things happening in Damascus over the centuries, still happening there.
Mm, yeah. Now,
Ah,
here,
different change of
yeah,
tone here.
exactly.
Yeah.
There is more. I couldn't put more paintings, but there is more on the way. But here, I got to this when I got the Canadian citizenship. So the blue one on the left is my Iraqi citizenship, a piece of my Iraqi citizenship. And in the background is the Canadian. I still have the dual citizenship.
Wow.
I appreciate the peaceful country I live in.
Mm.
It gives me time and peace to reflect. And there is some small details, like there is this sign LCBO. LCBO is the liquor store here in Ontario, where I live. And in Iraq, in the Middle East, there is always the conflict between religion and culture. So this is another story, but it's part of my art, the
Hmm.
layers I do. So it's always known that men are allowed in public to drink, women do not drink.
Hmm. Hmm.
So like part of when you're away from your culture, you start reflecting why do people do it? I mean, if it's according to religion, no one should be drinking, let's say. If you believe in that, you shouldn't be all drinking. It's not about male or female.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I had this, and the other is the spring here. It's beautiful.
It
It's
is
peaceful.
beautiful.
This is peace.
It's so beautiful. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful
A
colors.
good life, a happy, peaceful life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Uh,
Thank you.
and another picture.
Yes, this is from the verse in the Quran, enter in peace, and it was meant for Egypt when they entered Egypt. And it's a verse we use like in the entrances of houses,
Hmm.
enter the place with peace.
Right. And we see some Arabic there on closer look. That would be directly from the Quran.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Ah, more collages.
Yeah, now this is, you're here, you're in a peaceful country, and back home, I would think in the Middle East, like talking about the environment is like a first world problem. It's like it's so far away from our own problems, because if you're busy discussing war or expressing war, you wouldn't have time to express, you wouldn't, the thought wouldn't come to your mind about the environment.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I try to tackle this very, very important issue, not by science, like discussing science, because a few years back, I didn't know much. So this was an exhibition. What I got two pieces of wood from a nearby construction. It was going to the landfill, and I grabbed 1 month reused papers, whatever recycled items. I put them together. I put them in shoe boxes, and I asked people to be creative.
Hmm.
And this piece is going to the library, the Toronto Library.
Oh, wow.
It's, yeah, people can be very creative. I mean, this is like regular people at the exhibition,
Hmm.
and they starting having ideas on how to use these items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these are truly, truly beautiful pieces. Let's just scroll back slowly through them again. Um, we are going to take some questions and answers. If any of you out there in cyberspace want to type a question, it takes a little time till it comes through the electricity and all the way here. But if you've got a question for Miss Mousa, you might want to do that. But let's take this wonderful, wonderful art. I might note, if I can get my other screen share to work, we're going to give you our address, email address. If you want to buy one of these pieces, you can contact me. These are for sale. Some of them are, well, we can work on that. But we are also going to be producing a poster of one of these, and we are going to be selling the posters of all of the Iraqi refugees. We work with about 15 different wonderful Iraqi refugee artists. We're going to be producing posters. We're going to get you an email address shortly. If you have an old-fashioned pencil nearby or a modern iPad to type it in. Wonderful flowers. And that's just so gorgeous, so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And
These are in
yeah.
Japan. These are already sold. They're in a gallery in Japan now.
That's right. I have in my notes the permanent collection of the Kushi Fine Arts in Osaka, Japan.
Yes, these two.
Your work is literally around the world.
Thank you.
So very easy to see. Syria and refugees fleeing. Wow. Palmyra, did I get
This is in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, actually.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yemen, the ancient skyscrapers of Yemen. Yeah. And this is just breathtaking. Wow, this is, you went back to, I was in that office.
Yeah.
This is not about me. Sometime I'll tell those other stories. We can talk. But I was in that office. I was in that office, and I remember that. And somebody gave me a pen, and I still have the pen. I should have had it here with my. Oh wow, heartbreaking. And you went back and got your floppy disk, as we say. Oh,
and my colleagues' names are on these. It was very simple, and there's a bit bigger one, which I gave as a gift to our resident representative at that time for the UNDP, was Monsieur Dubois, Francis Dubois, and I contacted him after like a while ago. He donated the piece to a church in Mosul. Together with the art he collected in Baghdad. He has them all. He said they're all safe. I donated them to a church in Mosul.
Wow.
Again, it was as a thank you for all his work in Iraq.
Yeah. We mentioned in a phone conversation, getting ready, that you were working now on some isolation art. Is that anything you can tell us about or show us? Or
yes, I can show you. Actually, I can. It is. I don't know if you can see it. It's. Can you see it?
Yeah. That's great. Wow. Tell us a little bit about that.
So. I haven't said all this about the wars. I always try to have a positive message. So with the lockdown, it was like a fun project. I sketched all our daily activities and started like asking people, more or less, most people do the same things daily. You cook, you sleep, you read, you meditate, you pray. And yeah, a couple of days back, I added the walking, and now I'm going to add the bicycle. So yes, I tried to make a fun, a light piece about the pandemic or the lockdown. Yeah. I mean, people might find it stressful to stay at home, but you could still do a lot of fun things at home.
Yeah. Now, we ask all of our guests a very simple, wide-ranging question. What can we do for peace? What do you think we should do for peace?
Peace. Uh, I, I'll talk about Middle East for peace. Um, Iraq, Iraq was in the same regime for the longest time, for 30 years, and all of a sudden everything changed. So democracy was misunderstood wrong. It's like it wasn't only the freedom of speech, it was just the chaos. And I think time and understanding the opposite is the, I mean, we have to be in the shoes of the opposite person to understand, not only to give, like donating money to Iraq
Right.
wouldn't help, because the money will be in the hands of people, few people, and it will be won't necessarily be distributed right. But we need to understand why those people, those good simple people, why are they acting the way they are acting now.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it takes more understanding from both sides, I believe. Like if when I go back to Iraq now, I feel like there's a bit of a gap. So for any expat or for a Western person, they just need to understand where they're coming from. And from their end, they need to be more aware, um, to more educated, and to understand more, like in depth.
Mhm.
What they see, the West, they see sometimes only the social media, the facade, and they need to see more. So I think it needs time, it needs education, it needs to understand other points of view. Like governments, they want to, like Canada, they sell arms to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia, they bomb Yemen, and it goes on. I mean, they could use this money to do, I don't know. It's
Mhm.
that's politics.
And what do you think we in North America, myself as a typical American, what is it, and the Canadians, North Americans, what is it that you wish we could see more clearly about the beauty and the richness of the Middle East? I've been there, and I wish I could take everybody with me,
I think
but I can't take them all with me. But what would you wish most that people could see and feel and love about the Middle East that we don't get here in this part of the world?
it's their kindness. Uh, Iraqi people, you go there, you wouldn't worry if where to stay, how you'll have all doors open.
Mhm.
They they help regardless. If if they have like $1, they'll share it with you without asking any questions. And they're strong. They're very resilient.
Mhm.
Um, I wish people could see them, this the true Iraqis.
Mhm.
Yeah, and cultured, and they've been through a lot.
Yeah.
It started years back, and they've really been through a lot.
Well, I'm so grateful that you have helped us to see something of the beauty and the greatness of Iraq. And I can absolutely testify. One more story I wish I could tell you was that night the bombing started. It was Americans who were sending the bombs. I was up on the 5th floor, big plate glass windows, and I was frozen and I didn't know what to do. And if I had stayed there and a bomb had dropped, the glass would have been imploded and I could have been killed. I wouldn't be here now. And it was the Iraqi desk clerk, Mohammed, who called up and said, Mr. Mel, Mr. Nell, come down to the basement bomb shelter. He was looking out for me. You know, I
Of
wish I
course.
could see that desk clerk again. And so many kind people. Just, I absolutely, you're right. Wow. Let's see if we have any questions. We are Um,
There's one
we have
question.
Carla asks, um, what are some things you love beside your art? And thank you for your beautiful art, Carla asked. That's a wonderful, wonderful point.
Thank you so much, Carla. What is it that I like? Sorry, what is
But
it that
besides, in addition to art, music, or you're an
ah,
architect, other things you like in addition to art?
I can easily like a lot of things. I uh, I love to work. Like I started caring about the plants, having herbs inside with the lockdown, and I have like the full set now. Uh, so I like my gardening. I like the arts. I enjoy cooking very much, and any I would be interested. Photography. I like to talk to people and listen to their point of views. Share.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, people may want to get in touch with you. This is our contact information, commonhumanity.org, info@commonhumanity.org. If you would like to get in touch with Miss Mousa, uh, she has works for sale, as I understand. We can talk about that.
Yes.
We will put you in touch with her and work on that. We are going to continue broadcasting here on the Peace Channel. Not quite sure what our summer schedule is.
Yes.
Anybody wants to send a donation to Common Humanity? That would be nice of you to help us pay for our rent and our cable. Thank you so much for coming and joining us. Yes,
Before
anything else you'd like to add? We're not in a rush. Anything else you'd
one,
like to add?
I just saw that there's another Q&A, a question, which is my
Yeah, yeah,
influences. So before I had a few like Iraqi artist, Shakir Hassan. Nowadays, there is this Danish artist who works for the environment. His difficult name, Olafur. He, to convince the people, he got this bring a giant piece of ice and put it in Paris to show people how it melts and how the Arctic is
ah,
melting.
yeah.
It is very influential, and any art that has a message or that conveys a message for a better life, I'm all in an easy way.
Hmm,
I'm all in. I love it.
wonderful. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you
I
so
just
much
want
for,
to take a
yeah,
moment to
yeah.
thank all our listeners taking the time from their families on this Saturday to listen, and God bless you all. Thank
Thank
you.
you. And we will put this on our website. We will put this on Facebook, and we will put this on YouTube. So we are out there. This has been a wonderful time together. You are so articulate and such a good spirit, and your art is so beautiful.
Thank
The
you
best
so much.
wishes to you. I hope you can come back one of these times, and we'll talk some more
My
about
pleasure.
it.
Thank you so
Thank,
much.
thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank
You
you
too.
again. And contact us at commonhumanity.org. There's a contact page there to get in touch with us and to get in touch with Miss Bruce. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you
day.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.